Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. Thank you so very, very much for being here. My name is Cyndy. For my new subscribers, welcome. I hope you enjoy the Soulprint community and find the videos helpful, enlightening, humorous, whatever works. Things are going a little crazy in the States. The right has shifted so far right. There's just a lot of difficult things that are going on right now. And I want to, this is going to be a channeled message. Okay. This is not going to be cards or anything like that. Because I think that it's important that we just take a moment and sort of try to look at things from like 30,000 feet. Take a look at what's going on and see if we can understand why it's going on and what's going on with it going on. So, I'm particularly struck by the last couple of rulings of the Supreme Court. The Republican justices are really pushing their own personal ideas and attitudes into these court rulings. They're not following established law. They're just sort of saying, well, this is the way we want our world to be, and so this is what we're going to do to make it that way. And that's concerning, right? That's concerning. You've got Trump creeping up in the polls among Republicans. And that's concerning, considering there's just news that there may be a whole boatload more of indictments coming from Jack Smith. And I don't think that's January 6th stuff. I actually think this may have something to do still with the document case. And if they're looking to bring charges out of New Jersey, for example. So I'm just going to hand this off to powers higher and more, what's the word? Advanced, maybe, than I. They can look at things that are going on. They have a broader and higher perspective. So I'm looking to find out what we can find out with regards to the current situation in the United States and the energies surround that and what it looks like and what we can anticipate as we move forward. All right. So the very first thing that we're going to, want to look at is why has the right become so aggressive? Why are they, messing with established law? Why are they pushing everything to the absolute extreme? And it's fascinating to watch because everything that the Republicans are accusing the Democrats of doing is exactly what they're doing. Okay, that it's like that thing that Trump did all the time, right? It was like, well, the thing I'm guilty of, that's what I'm going to accuse you of. So there's that going on. The Republicans are having a hard time when they're getting pushed back. Apparently, I just saw a little clip from Fox News, and they were talking about somebody really pressuring. I think it was Ludlow, but I could be mistaken, but I think that's who it was. And he was yelling and screaming about how everything's so terrible with the economy. And the Fox person was like, okay, but this is up and this is up and this is down and this is the way you want it to be. And so what exactly is the problem? And, he goes off into this word salad spiel. So they can't even defend their own positions. And of course, they don't really have positions as much as they have these ideas and attitudes. So what's this about? What is going on? Okay, so the simple answer is this is kind of like their last kick at the can, okay? Aside from Republicans who have gone really MAGA, okay, the more mainstream ones, like, there's got to be a few of them still running around. The ones with clear vision, or relatively clear vision. They recognize that the Republican Party, as they knew it, has been like mortally wounded, all right? And they realize that they're going to be paying the price. The midterm election was like the bellwether, okay? It was like they did so crappy in the midterm, and that was a very clear sort of shot across the bow by, um, rational Republicans and independents and Democrats saying, whoa, you guys have gone off the rails and you're going to start getting punished for these choices that you're making, for these draconian laws that you're bringing down. And so what you have is, um, a group of people that recognizes energetically their time is coming to a close, and they may, reinvent themselves somewhere down the road, and hopefully move more to the center, and recognize at the very least that not everybody wants to go back to the 1950s. So what they're doing is they're trying to push everything they want, everything they can get out. Because let's face it, like, look at the abortion thing. Even though even the vast majority of Republicans don't agree with what they've done, this was their tribal chant for years, and now they have to push, like push, to make it so strict, and it's just, um, it's truly their way of sort of pushing back or fighting back. Um, so what you have is a group of people who are recognizing that their time is coming to a close, and that this push is basically all they have left. That this is what they've got to work with at this point in time. So what you're seeing is this real push to get this stuff done, to gerrymander the states. But what's happening is everything keeps getting halted by the courts, right? The most recent one, I believe, was something that DeSantis pushed through. It had to do with voting rights. It also had to do with him being able to run for president but not give up his governorship, which I guess is standard and what should be done. But of course, he's circumventing rules. But apparently, the court put an injunction on that. So what they're starting to recognize is that even the courts are pushing back against them. Well, if you're gasping for your last breath, and everything starts pushing against you, what you do instinctively is push back harder with the last, morsels of strength you have. And this is exactly what we are witnessing right now. And the thing is, if you can think of, like, if you think of the Republican Party as like a big old dinosaur, okay? So not only do many of their ideas and what policies they have, which I'm not sure they have any, but anyways, they're just from a time before. They're like just not, they're not a reflection of what is going on and the evolution of people's feelings, attitudes, outlooks. But you know what? You can't take down a dinosaur, with a single, shot from an arrow. Okay. Um, And so what you're going to see is this big, heavy, clumpy dinosaur continuing to sort of try to push forward, but with every step forward, it becomes weakened because there's another shot against it and another shot against it. And so that's what we're witnessing now. That's what we're witnessing in the court. That's what we're witnessing with these abortion laws, the gay laws, the LGBTQ stuff. It's all about pushing back because they really do feel that this is their last sort of kick at the can. And that includes SCOTUS. That includes the Supreme Court because you have Alito and Thomas and Roberts pushing their personal agendas. And that's going to be a problem. But as you've been told before by me and a whole lot of others, the Supreme Court is going to, there's going to be an energy shift within the court, and you're going to have people leaving and new people coming on board. And again, it's going to take a lot for the likes of Clarence Thomas to step down. There's this trend of everybody, doing what Ruth Bader Ginsburg did, which was like literally stay until the very last breath. And I think in hindsight, there is a recognition that had she retired when Obama was asking her to, there would be a young sort of Democrat-leaning justice on the court. But she didn't do that, and I'm not picking on her, okay? I'm just saying she didn't do it, and that left a really nice opening for the Republicans to slam, who was it, Gorsuch, I guess, in. So it's not going to be easy getting these people out, but there are energy shifts that are taking place and they're going to be leaving. I'm seeing 2 for sure. Some people are talking about 3, but there's going to be some real shifts that go on. And that, they're going to continue to lose credibility literally until things change because they are so out of touch and out of step with the vast majority of Americans. This isn't even out of step with what Democrats want. This is with all Americans. There's not that many. What they have something like a 30 or 32% approval rating? This is horrible. That's about the same percentage of people who adore Trump and think he's the next Messiah. Okay? So understand that what we're feeling right now is the tension between sort of the higher consciousness and the lower consciousness, between moving forward with evolution and trying to not only slam the brakes, but actually go backwards in time and recreate a world that existed when, Alito and Thomas were young. And I'm certainly Thomas being incredibly impacted by, the fact that he was Black. And he had no end of issues about that. And, but again, his ruling with this affirmative action thing was absolutely a reflection of his own personal experiences. And I'm not sure, because I'm not a scholar, but I am pretty dang sure that the Constitution says this is the law to be followed, as opposed to, well, this is the law, but really, if you have a strong opinion, you just supersede that law. You just go right ahead. I'm sure it doesn't say that anywhere. But that's what you're getting. That's what you're seeing right now. And frankly, the Democrats have learned a very powerful lesson about codifying things into law. And to stop pretending that they're playing on an even playing field with Republicans, because they're not. Republicans have stooped so low that the Democrats have had to adjust their strategies and become far more aggressive and in your face about their accomplishments and calling out the other side. And slowly but surely you are seeing that, and you're going to see that continue to accelerate and accelerate, because you have about um 18 months, 16 months before the election. That's like a really, really long time for events to take place, for things to happen, for even more um, shifts into those higher vibrations. There's going to be more souls, more people who are going to be shifting into those higher vibrations, and that intensifies the power of the fourth, fifth dimension. It intensifies the power and the energy of the light, which is what we're shifting towards, a more enlightened society. So how do we cope with the insanity in the meantime? Because real lives are being impacted. Real tragedies are happening as a result of some of these rulings. You continue to hold the space. You continue to stay in those positive thoughts. If there's one thing we've learned over the last, God knows, too many years with Trump coming down that escalator, is that, that lower vibration, that negative energy attracts hate. It attracts grievances. It tells you that chip on your shoulder that has now become a boulder is your right. And it's fine to have a boulder, and it's fine to impose that boulder on, the rest of society. But energetically, that kind of attitude is losing its grip. It's on a downward spiral. And you're going to see that not only in the United States. Look at what Putin's doing. He's running around these days trying to convince everybody he's still strong. I mean, make of that what you will. You have people, citizens globally, pushing back when there are things that they're not liking. They're finally coming to an understanding that the government works for the people. Okay, and then of course you have authoritarian societies and dictatorships and stuff, and they are also on their own learning and growth curve. Okay, but they will be led by the democratic societies who, the States, Canada, England, Australia, New Zealand, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, who are pushing for a more inclusive, a more enlightened kind of energy. So in the first thing, the first line of defense is to stay focused on that which is positive, focusing on the change that you want to see. And frankly, being part of that change. And again, whether it is just making a commitment to vote, whether it's trying to convince, I don't know, your son, your daughter, your grandchildren who are turning 18 to vote, and think carefully about their vote and why they're voting that way. I have said it before. I will say it 100 more times. Gen Z and the generation right before that, and I'm not sure which one that was, honestly, they are going to grab the horns or grab the reins, and they're pushing the world into a different vibrational energy because they carry the higher vibrational energy with them. And so, sort of in order for them to actually have their own energies reflected, they are going to start moving forward in ways, and you can see this with some of the really, really young, politicians particularly in state legislatures. So there's that kind of thing going on. So the first thing is really stay focused on the positive. Do what you can to support that which you support, and you don't disregard and you don't ignore what you don't like, but you also don't give it power by being afraid of what it means. Okay? Now, the other thing that you're going to see is the continual downfall of the people who are a reflection or are encouraging that kind of energy. You're going to see the downfall of Trump. You're going to see the downfall of Putin. You're going to see the downfall of the DeSantises of the world and the Abbotts of the world. You are going to see the energy that is around that, the McCarthys of the world and that MAGA. They're not going to disappear for a really long time, but at some point they're going to crawl back into their hole because they're going to start to face a lot of pushback in terms of what is acceptable in the world and what is sort of not acceptable. So you're going to see these structures, for lack of a better word, start to crumble. That's a good thing. But the crumbling process is unsettling. And that's what you want to hold with clarity is, this is the thing. And this is kind of a goofy analogy, but I go with the pictures that they give me. If you have a closet right, that is just stuffed full of stuff, and you decide, you know what, I need to spring clean. I need to get the closet cleaned out. The most kind of efficient way to do it is to remove everything from the closet and then rebuild the closet, right? Put back the things that have value and discard the things whose time is done. And that shifting, that cleaning out of the closet is going to feel scary because there's going to be some really significant shifts. And for those who have been waiting for a really long time to start to see the positive impacts, they're all around you. Like, recognize that first. The positive energy is around you and it's strong. And, you can look to something as simple as politically, as simple as Biden's, economic agenda and everything he is accomplishing, partisan and bipartisan. Things are getting changed. Things are getting corrected. So we hold on to that which has value and we start to discard that which no longer serves, whose time is done. Well, what is no longer serving is those sort of draconian, very 1950s attitudes and ideas where there was, white was might, everybody else was secondary. There was a man and there was a woman. That's all they were. That's all there ever was. And they could only love and be attracted to each other. That was 1950s. I'm not saying the other stuff wasn't going on. Of course it was. But it was like quiet. So all of that stuff is stuff that's going to be put back into the closet as we have expanded. But the stuff that goes back to those very old-fashioned and antiquated dinosaur-like ideas, those are going to be coming out of the closet and discarded. And that process can be unsettling. So it's really important that you understand that keeping calm and keeping your perspective is one of the most powerful things you can do energetically to move forward. This is being released on Tuesday, the 4th of July. So, to my American neighbors, I wish you a very happy 4th. I know that this past weekend has been difficult. You've had some really horrible weather going on um, in different places. There's flooding in Illinois, and the heat hasn't given up in Texas, and some of you are still getting the smoke from the forest fires in Canada. There have been, of course, your mass shootings, but given all of that, take some time to just really appreciate whatever it is that you really appreciate about your country, about your community, because this is a time to celebrate how far you have come as a country, but understand you and Canada and, Australia. We're babies on the political sort of spectrum, right? And so we still are going to continue to evolve and grow and evolve and grow, and nothing is stagnant. So there is going to be shifts and changes. They want you to focus on the things that are positive, that are more likely than not to manifest. You have Biden in for a second office. You have Dems taking the House and the Senate with strong enough majorities that they're going to be able to finish Biden's agenda. You have many of the people with those sort of older, entrenched ideas who are going to be leaving public office, are going to be retiring. Some of them are going to be going into the light. But there's going to be a significant shift there. And you're going to start to see, like, literally over the next, 2, 6, 8, 10 years, you're going to see the sort of median age of people in Congress getting younger and younger as these older folks finally leave. So all of these things bring changes, they bring progress. And take that time today to acknowledge that and reflect on that. I will be getting some minis out later on in the week. So this is the schedule for those who are new. On Tuesday, I release a new video, and generally it is a more in-depth video. Very often it is, tarot on a specific situation or a specific, person. Once in a while, you get these sort of channeled messages. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm putting out like short, 10, 12-minute minis. Thank you for all the feedback on the minis, by the way. I really, really like that you like them. It just feels like I can kind of blitz through a whole bunch of stuff, get to the point, and kind of move on. So, once again, thank you so very, very much for being here. I look forward to seeing you on this channel throughout the rest of the week. Until next time, take care. Be well. We'll see you really soon. Bye-bye.